Someone had a question about being versus doing and this integration of being in daily life, experiencing being in daily living. So let's explore this. Now, when there's identification with thought, all we know is doing. We're overlooking being. Being is sort of ignored, and there's an emphasis on doing. And as soon as we start experiencing being, getting glimpses of being, we then create this opposition that the doing is opposite of being, and the being is opposite of doing, which is kind of what the question was about, doing versus being. And as we start getting a taste of being, we sometimes jump to this conclusion or make this assumption that the body has to be absolutely still, eyes have to be closed, everything has to be silent, and being. And that's not how it is. I mean, that is definitely how most get a glimpse or start experiencing being, is really the relaxation of activity, where the doing comes to a rest and now being is discovered. Discovered. It's without cover. It's uncovered. See, the activity is a sort of covering. When we're identified with the activity, it sort of conceals the being. By just simply relaxing the activity and allowing that activity to settle and come to rest, it's like there's no cover. The being is revealed. We then experience being. But it doesn't stop there. And a lot of people think it does stop there, which then creates this opposition that in order to be, I can't do anything. And that's not how it is. See, this being is ever present. So you can start experiencing being in the midst of activity. And this is one step further. This is what in the question was being referred to as integrating being. Meaning, how do I experience this being when I'm not in a formal meditation, when I'm not joining these guided meditations, when I'm not stopping my entire life and just laying on the floor, doing nothing? It's a good way to discover being, but we're interested in experiencing being in daily living. That happiness, that love, that peace, that freedom that is our true nature needs to be experienced in daily living. It's no good to just experience your true nature in a 20-minute meditation in the morning or a 20-minute meditation in the evening. It tends to start there, but what I always am guiding you to is living truth. Establishing yourself as happiness, love, peace, and freedom. So we don't create an opposition to doing. We don't make activity an enemy. So now that you're getting a taste of being in the absence of doing, it's now time to experience being in the midst of doing. And this is a whole another level. We can start with very simple activities and start increasing the complexity of the activity. So perhaps it's just a slow walk and you're experiencing being while walking. And then perhaps the complexity of the activity. You're not walking, now you're driving. And you're experiencing being while driving. And then perhaps now the complexity is even greater. Let's call it family life. Cooking, cleaning, caring for your children. Now, can you experience being in the midst of all of that? This is really the true test. And you start seeing that actually it's not one or the other. That doing is not in opposition of being. Really, doing is an expression of being. So the same activities that you once were doing magically transform. It's not about the what you're doing, but more so the how you are doing it. Because now you are experiencing your true nature in the midst of that activity. It appears that the activity takes on a new quality because it's infused by or permeated by your true nature. So the activity is enjoyed. There's a love for the activity. There's more peace and harmony. There's more freedom in the activity. There's more creativity. And you see where I'm going with this is the activity seemingly transforms because you are experiencing your true nature in the midst of that activity. And ultimately, that activity is made of our true nature. So it's not a this or that. It's not that you create the opposition of doing, that you can't do anything, and you think that you're just going to be a monk and meditate for the rest of your life in some formal seated position. Now, that, like I said, might be how you are discovering being, but it has to progress. There's more to this journey than just simply the recognition of being. In a way, that's just the halfway mark. But the journey comes full circle, so it comes back to daily living. But daily living is completely transformed because you're now experiencing your true nature in the midst of daily activities. You're now living truth. It's not this realization that you had 2 weeks ago. No, the realization is now. It's always now. And you see that this doing the activities aren't actually an obstacle. They aren't actually anything that's in the way. It's not something that's preventing you from experiencing your true nature. Oh, I'm gardening. Oh, I can't be because I'm doing something. I'm moving my hands and my feet, and I can't be while driving because I need to focus on the road, and I can't be when I'm around my kids because there's so much yelling and screaming, and it's not an obstacle. That's actually what you start experiencing as integration. That you start experiencing your true nature in the midst of daily living. And you start seeing the unity that really the doing and the being are one. They're not opposites. It's not an opposition. It's complementary. That actually you find that your activities are an expression of your true nature. That you're experiencing your true nature. Let's say this freedom, for example. And now you are expressing that freedom. That could look like going for a run. You're experiencing this inspiration. And you're expressing that inspiration creatively. Cooking or building a business or raising a family. You're experiencing this happiness for no reason. And there's an expression. To invite a friend over for dinner or go to the movies with a friend, but it's seen as more of a celebration. So you start experiencing this unity that what you once were identified with, all of the doing, and you only knew the doing, you then discovered being. But the doing doesn't need to be rejected. It doesn't need to be avoided. It doesn't need to be suppressed. Actually, you see, it's the opposite of that. It's actually all self-expression. That all of the activities that you find yourself doing are actually all forms of self-expression. That you're expressing yourself in, through, and as your daily activities. You'll then start noticing more of this we can call integrity or realignment of these activities. That because now you're experiencing your true nature, these activities are transforming. And you'll find that there's a new type of expression because you're expressing that which you were ignoring before. But now that you're not ignoring it, this expression is coming through differently. We can call it inspired activity, inspired in spirit. Where this inspired action seems to be something new. And you find that some of the old activities are falling away because they're no longer aligned with your true nature. But your true nature is now expressing through these new activities. So you experience two things: that the actual activities are different. And this is not something overnight, but it starts to change gradually over time. And you also start experiencing that the same activities that you are doing, the cooking, the cleaning, changing diapers, driving kids to school, going to work, the same activities are now seemingly completely transformed. It's the same activity, the what is the same, but the how is different. And this is a result of experiencing our true nature in the midst of daily living. You're establishing yourself as happiness, love, peace, and freedom. Because that's ultimately what it's all about. It's not like some realization, the realization that I had 3 months ago in that meditation or on that retreat. No, it's more of you're living that realization. That which was realized, you are now living it. The truth that was realized, you're now living as it. So with this integration, you experience this integrity. Integrity refers to wholeness. So you start seeing this realignment of these activities where you're no longer in opposition with yourself, that the thoughts, the feelings, the action are all unified. You start experiencing this unification. That what you're doing is aligned with being. Because ultimately it's undivided. It's whole. There's integrity. When we don't have integrity, we always feel like there's a gap or there's a misalignment, that we're fractured. We're doing something, but it sometimes feels like it's not true to you, and you know it, but that action's being done anyways. And we have a sense that something is not right. Can't quite put our finger on it. Whereas when there's this alignment, when there's this integration, this integrity, the actions are an authentic expression of you. They're genuine actions. It's authentic. You're not second guessing yourself. You're not thinking, oh, I wish I did this. I wish I did that. You're not having these regrets. It's this pure expression, which is why I always say that full expression is freedom. To express yourself authentically, freely. When there's that feeling of misalignment, or that we're divided, there's always suppression. That we're suppressing ourselves. When really self-expression is natural, it's effortless. So it's very paradoxical. The mind can't understand this. You have to start experiencing this. This effortless expression is our true nature. Sometimes refer to it, this unification of doing and being, where there's no opposition, as effortless effort. It appears like there's effort, making videos, gardening, cooking, cleaning, going to work, meetings, all these things that looks like we do, and it seems like there's some big effort with it. But actually, when you're experiencing your true nature in the midst of these daily activities, you're experiencing effortless effort. The natural state is flow, this effortless flow. So it doesn't require one to sit in a meditative position all day. And renounce one's life. That actually this unification of doing and being is totality. That you're in the world, but not of the world. When you're involved, you're fully involved. You're neither attached nor detached. To be attached, you would have to be separate. To be detached, you would have to be separate. You're neither attached nor detached. This is where we typically find doing to be an obstacle, because we were once attached to the activity and with disidentifying from the activity, we then become detached. But we can camp here and just be passive and even solidify this detachment by identifying as, well, I'm just the witness. And sort of suppress the human expression. What I'm saying is, we're neither attached nor detached. So you experience the best of both worlds. That you're experiencing doing and being simultaneously. This is where it's paradoxical. Like I said, it's not one or the other. It's not opposition. It's the mind that makes this opposition, because it's quite literally measurement, measuring this or that. But it's both, because our true nature is all inclusive. So it doesn't exclude anything. So the doing is included. There's no need to exclude it. That is just a step in some traditions of detaching or disidentifying. But when our true nature is realized, we then experience it deeper. There's a deepening. And you come to realize that actually it doesn't exclude anything. It's not in opposition to anything. That you actually experience the full human experience. Because there's no suppression. You experience your individuality fully. Because that's what self-expression is. Self-expression is individuality. When I say individuality, I'm not saying that individuality is identity. There's a difference. Individuality, meaning the unique expression that mind body is. That as a human being, the human being is a unique expression of the one. A rose is a unique expression. A daisy is a unique expression. A cow is a unique expression. An ant is a unique. Everything is self-expression. Everything is unique. That which is unique is one of a kind. So of course, this unique expression is going to be different than that unique expression. And it's incomparable because that which is unique cannot be compared to. So again, it's very paradoxical. You're experiencing, it's the same, but different. The rose and the daisy are both two forms of expression, and each expression is unique and therefore incomparable. They're completely different. Yet, simultaneously, they are the same. Or perhaps we don't use that word the same because it's implying two, but we say they're different, but they're one. In essence, they are one. In expression, they appear to be two completely different things. So this self-expression is embraced fully, totally, completely. And you see, there's no need to hold back, which is often a little bit of an obstacle when there is discovering being. That as you start discovering being and start experiencing your true nature, there's no need to hold back the doing. There's no need to then now make it into the enemy and judge it and, oh, I don't want to do anything with that doing. I don't want to be doing anything. You see, it's the same thing that was happening. The judging, the labeling, the exclusion. It's just a different form of separation. It's the same thing that was happening. We were identified with one thing, and now we discovered another thing, not really a thing, but no thing, and now there's a identifying with that and a rejecting of what was once known. Whereas this integration is you were once attached to something, now you discovered your true nature, and now everything that you were once attached to is now included. And you are neither attached nor detached. And because of this embrace of everything, there's what you experience as integration, and there's now the unity, the wholeness, the completeness, the integrity. That you are undivided. As long as we're judging and separating, right, wrong, good, bad, then there's going to be the experience of division within ourselves. This is very subtle at this stage because it's like a new division that we set up, that we're dividing now. I'm now the absolute, but I'm I don't want anything to do with the relative. It's another division where actually you experience both simultaneously. And see that the absolute is the relative is the absolute. So going beyond this, there's now what we can call a double negation, that we're neither this nor that, which means that you're not attaching to anything. Like I said, before we were attached to form, and then we somehow want to attach to the formless. There's identifying with form, and then there's a new identity. This is my true identity, the formless. But really, what we truly are is without identity. The true identity is no identity. There's an absence of identity. The mind is always wanting to reify something, solidify something, because this identity is non-existent. It's really an activity, identification, the process of identifying. So you see that there's merely a switch in identities from form to formless. And what's very typical when we create these identities is that we then exclude everything that's not the identity. You can see this in your life with some basic identities. Your favorite sports team, well, now you're in opposition to the rival team. This nation is now opposition to another nation. This religion is in opposition to another religion. Whenever there's an identity, there's going to be an opposition. So like this, we create this new identity as formless, and then create the opposition. Oh, the form. I'm not that. With this double negation, you are neither form nor formlessness. Meaning you're not identified with one over the other. The word just or only are very limiting words. When I say I'm just the body, it's very limiting. When I say I'm only formless, then it's, again, another limitation. Freedom has no limits. So this freedom that we are is free to express itself fully as form. So that's what I was saying, is it's the best of both worlds. It's full self-expression. It's the flowering of the human experience, which is individuality. The same way a rose grows and flowers, it's reached its full potential. Reaching its full potential is the actualization of the rose. Like this, we have two aspects of ourselves, the pure potential and the actualization. The human experience is for the actualization of our pure potential, which is why I say it doesn't end with the realization of our true nature. Living truth is the actualization of that realization. Hope this helps. See you in the next one.